Good afternoon. It is Saturday at 4 o'clock. It must be time for the senior moment, unless you had one and forgot. Anyway, talking about sense of humor, this is Connie Clark with Home Helpers, and Kay is in the studio with me today. And
Hi.
we're going to talk about a subject that I think for a lot of seniors, it's one they don't want to discuss with their family. But for a lot of seniors, it's very important that they discuss this and take action. And that is the medical alert devices that are out there on the market today and what they can do not only for the peace of mind of the senior, or it may be, someone like you and I, but also for the family.
Sometimes it's peace of mind for the kids,
For the
knowing
kids.
that mom and dad
Absolutely.
can be taken care of.
And there are so many more options on the market today with all the new technology than there was 5, 10 years ago. We've all heard the commercial, Help I've Fallen and I
I've
Can't.
fallen and I can't get up.
Absolutely. That and the Clapper commercials people will remember forever.
I know, that came out when I was a kid, so that's saying something.
And those were buttons that people wore. You had to have a hardwired phone in your home and it would plug in. And it could either go to a call center where they would just send somebody out, or it would go to someone that would talk to you over the unit to find out what's going on. And now they've come up with a whole array of new and improved systems out there in the market that you don't have to have a hardwired phone. A lot of people, in my house, I don't have a hardwired phone. I have my cell phone. And there's a lot of people that don't have phones anymore. And so that was one of the barriers to getting a system was if you don't have a phone, then you can't have the system.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people nowadays, they've gotten rid of their landline, and they're just going off cell phones. But I know in the case of my parents, they don't always have the cell phone on.
Exactly.
They don't have them on them. It's
Carrying
on
them
the
around in their
charger.
pocket.
Well, why would you at home? It's in one place. And for most of the time, you don't think about it. That's not a big deal. But if you have parents who are seniors and they fall, well, once you've fallen, you can't get up.
Exactly. So now
How are
they
you going to
have
get to the cell phone?
right. So now they have systems that are cellular in nature. So they are their own cell phone per se in themselves. So you do not have to have a hardwired phone in your home.
Oh, that's good.
This works off cell service. And so that's one of the barriers to getting your parents to get a system, because you would not only have to pay the cost for the button, but now you have to pay the cost to have a phone put in if you didn't have one. And so that would make it sometimes too cost prohibitive for someone to get one.
And I know for seniors, cost is a big concern because many people are living off Social Security or small pensions, and every penny counts. And most of
Absolutely.
the time, they're going toward prescriptions.
Absolutely. And so there's new cell phone service out there that you can get the emergency buttons. Now, they've also come out with another technology for these emergency buttons that are fall detectors.
Oh.
And so if a person falls, the pendant will change position and send off an alarm that the person has fallen. And if they don't move within 10 seconds, it will also send out an alarm that says unconscious.
Well, I think maybe we should backtrack and explain some of the dangers of why falling for a senior is so dangerous in the first place.
Well, my mom fell and broke her hip. It was in an airport, so there was, nothing we could do about a button or anything. But after she got that, she realized she really needed something. So she got a button. And she had that until she died 7 years later. Her sister, on the other hand, who was in worse condition than she was, lived by herself out in the country. She was in a wheelchair. She had macular degeneration, so she couldn't really see. And she had hearing aids, which she would never wear.
Boy, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. And so she refused to get a button. She didn't want to pay the $30, $40, whatever it was a month to get a button. Well, one night in the middle of the night, she had to go to the bathroom, and she got up and she went through the kitchen to go to the bathroom and fell in the kitchen. Now, she had one of the very, very, very old black rotary dial phones up on the wall, which now she can't reach because she's on the floor, and she can't get up because she was in a wheelchair. She could walk hanging on to things.
Right.
So it took her 3 hours to crawl back into her bedroom and pull the phone that was on the table down and call the operator and tell the operator to call her neighbor Sam to come help her. And she was so frantic she couldn't remember Sam's phone number.
Oh my goodness.
So fortunately it was a small town. Everybody knew everybody, and the operator knew who Sam was and, got her assistance. Then she got the button. But, do you want to be crawling on your kitchen floor in the middle of the night to find a phone you can reach to call?
Well, because there's some medical concerns when seniors fall. Of course, there's the broken hip angle, which
broken
is
wrist, broken shoulder.
Any broken bone. I mean, that's an issue in and of itself. But if you've fallen and you can't get up, even non-movement and being forced to be in a position where you're just lying there for a senior can be very dangerous.
We just had one of our clients do exactly that. We had left her, came back 5 hours later, according to schedule, and she was on the floor. She didn't have her oxygen on.
Oh.
I think that if we hadn't gotten there when we did, we'd have probably been reading her name in the paper. Now she has one of our buttons.
Right.
We gave it to her just in case something like that happened again. And you hear about that so often of people finding, people in the bathtub. People have fallen coming down their stairs. You hear that all the time.
I'm not a senior, but I have fallen in the bathtub. It's easy when soap gets down there and it's slick falling in the bathtub. It's a real danger even for a younger generation. So it's only exacerbated when someone is older and your coordination does slow down. It's just a natural byproduct of aging. I'm not as fast as I was when I was 20, and I'm probably another 20 years won't be as fast as I am now, if you could even think of me as being fast,
Well, and seniors, they know there's a danger.
Yes.
So now they're going to walk slower. They're going to not going to move as much. They're not going to, work their muscles as much. And you know what happens when you don't work your muscles?
Degeneration.
Right. You don't use it,
You lose
gone.
it.
And so being careful is one thing, but I've heard a lot of cases where people break their hip, then fall. So if they have osteoporosis or something like that, and they have brittle bones, a lot of cases, the fall isn't what broke the hip. They broke the hip, then they fell. So you can be as careful as can be and still not have a fall.
Right. And so I know a lot of seniors are saying, oh, I don't think, like your was it
My
aunt?
aunt, yeah.
Your aunt? Oh, I don't need that. And sometimes it's not the money. Sometimes it's pride.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's a matter of, oh, I don't need that yet. I'm not that old.
I'm not that bad.
I'm not that bad. When in fact, it's not really saying that you're bad. It's preventing it because accidents happen to everyone.
And I am such a big proponent of this. I said my mom had one, and she fell numerous times after that, and the call center would call me and 911 both, and I would meet them there. And it was just a sense of security. And I will tell you that when my mother had her heart attack, she pushed her button. They called me. And I truly believe that button gave me 2 more weeks with my mother.
Wow.
That I would not have had she not had that.
Well, because, we've talked about the falls, but you're right. There are other things that seniors face. Heart attacks, possible strokes, even different medical things.
Security. You hear someone breaking in your back door and you're laying in bed and your phone's nowhere near. All you have to do is push that button. And it's going to start screeching and yelling emergency. If someone's trying to break in, they're going to hear that.
Right. It's just about as good as a dog.
Yeah.
Sometimes better because my dog is lazy.
Exactly. And, after so long of that, the people are going to come on and say, okay, is everything okay there? No, someone's breaking in my house.
Right. And with the number of break-ins we've had in our region, that's not a bad idea.
Right. So it's just a deterrent for someone trying to break in. All of a sudden they hear an alarm going off. They're probably going to turn tail and run.
Good idea. Now, how do these work? You're mentioning pushing a button. Are these bracelets? Are they necklaces?
They're both.
Okay.
They're both. And the fall sensor is as a necklace that's worn, but just a regular medical alert button. It can either be on your neck or on your wrist, and there's all kinds of different models, all kinds of different vendors out there. I think one of the major differences you're going to find is what happens when the button's pushed. Who comes on the line? Some of the systems, it goes straight into the hospital, and then they determine what to do. Some systems, it goes into a call center, and then it could be either the call center is instructed to bring out emergency, or you can give them a list of who to call. So like if your parents push the button, you might be the first one on the list, and if you're not available, your brother might be the next one on the list, that sort of thing. Okay. So that's one of the big differences. All the systems are pretty much the same, but where they call is the difference.
And so I guess my next question would be, how does a senior make a choice of which one's right for them? Because you said there's all different kinds, and so
there's all different kinds, and even Walgreens and some of these other places have them. You order them and they mail them to you. Now you've got to figure out how to set them up.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And so what I would say is talk to some of the local vendors, some of the local people that do it. You're going to get a more one-on-one kind of thing. They're going to be the ones that are going to bring it out and sit down with you and install it and explain it all to you and test it and do all of that, versus some of these big nationals that mail you the unit and expect you to, figure out how to put it in and all of that. So that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, because sometimes the installation is very intimidating. So are there local groups that actually install these?
I install them.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a couple other agencies around here that do so also. So, just call and check. Call and check prices, see if they charge for installation. Some may waive installation. I do. I waive installation. Some of them, you take a look and see what the models look like, what the buttons look like, what the different options are. There's all different kinds. And we are so fortunate to live in this technological age where they have all of this. There's a lot of things that they've come out with having to do with monitoring people with dementia.
How does that work?
Well, they work under a GPS. We've got one, it's called CareWatch. The Alzheimer's Association also has one called Comfort Zone, and they work off GPS.
Really?
And so ours has, it's a watch, so the person's wearing a watch, and it sends out a signal. And if you find them missing, all you have to do is call, and they'll activate the system to find them. The one that the Alzheimer's Association has is different in that you can monitor where the person is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, via the internet.
Oh, okay.
It's a pendant that they wear, and you would set up a zone where you would think, okay, Mom usually goes to the store, that's 2 blocks away. She goes to church, that's 3 blocks away. So you'd kind of set up a perimeter of where the normal travel is. And then if that person goes outside of that perimeter, then you get notified.
Oh,
so
okay.
If they go out to get gas and get lost and keep driving till they're in California,
it's going to let you know while they're still in Oregon.
Yeah. And it's going to tell you where they are.
Well, that's good. What are some of the other features on these things?
Well, the CareWatch, like I said, they all work on GPS. But if you're in, GPS is only as good as the terrain you're in. So if you're in dense forests with mountains all around you, it may not pick it up. Or if you're in the middle of New York City. You know what I mean?
Well, GPS fortunately is satellite based,
Right.
and so it's going up, and so unless there's trees in the way, chances are it's better than like a radio signal, which was what they call line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a building or a mountain, that gets blocked, but the satellite usually is a little bit better.
But the important thing is to make sure the person's safe.
Right. Now, are they able to wear these at all times, like even in the shower
Mm-hmm.
and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, there's all different kinds of makes and models. So what you need to do is just check them out and see which ones you like best.
Okay.
And just because you have one in your house doesn't mean you can't change it.
Okay. What would be a good reason to change?
If you don't like the way the button looks, or if you've tried to push the button and no one came on to talk to you.
So if the service is not working up to expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, it's all a matter of choice. You know, a lot of people, once they get something in their house, they're very hesitant to change it.
People hate change.
Yeah. But, you know, it's just a service. So, and you can change.
Okay.
Like I said, the fall sensor is something real new, and it's so important, especially someone living by themselves. Because if you fall and you're knocked unconscious, how are you going to push a button?
Oof. Good point. And something people need to think about.
Absolutely. So, and there's some other things you can do to keep, especially people with dementia, safe. So, we take a break here. We're going to talk about that when we come back. And we're back again. This is Connie Clark with Home Helpers, and we are on the Senior Moment. And Kay's with me this afternoon, and we're talking about how to keep seniors or our loved ones or anybody safe, and about some of the new technology that's out for medical alert buttons and that sort of thing. And we had touched on some of the things that the Alzheimer's Association has. It's called Comfort Zone. And you, in order to find information out on that, what you need to do is go to the Alzheimer's Association's website, which is alz.org, and go in the safety tab. They have a lot of information on there on keeping someone with dementia safe, and they have a whole lot of information about this Comfort Zone and Comfort Zone check-in. And it's for the families.
Well, let me ask you this. How does a person who, like a child of a parent, they realize that their parent needs a button, but the parents are reluctant to get the button? How does someone step up and say, okay, you got to get the button? I mean, how do you help families through this dynamic? Because sometimes there's a bit of resistance on the part of the senior to getting the button, and yet maybe all the kids are saying, but you need it.
Well, one of the big issues is their safety, and you are afraid that something is going to happen to them. And if they loved you, they wouldn't want something to be bothering you and upsetting you and scaring you. And this is scaring you. You're afraid something's going to happen to them. And if they do this one thing, and I've got a lot of families where the kids pay for it.
Okay.
You know, that just please wear it. You know, you can put it under your clothes so no one has to know you've got it on. You know, if you're going out with your girlfriends or something, no one has to know you're wearing one. And just make me feel a lot better, please.
Now, what happens when you would like both parents to wear one? Is it fall under the same thing, or is that a per person price?
No, it's 2 buttons. And actually, you can have more than 2 buttons. They just have to activate them in the unit. Usually what I do is I put one in the bathroom that can be reached from the toilet or the shower, because a lot of the units are waterproof, but they will still take them off when they go in the shower.
Got it.
And so if something happens and they've taken it off, what good was it? So we'll usually hang it in between the toilet and the shower so that no matter where they are in those two spots, they can still reach it. But a lot of the units will accommodate multiple buttons, so each person can have a button on, plus another one hanging in the bathroom.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times when there are senior couples, they're still married, they're still together, they're not living alone, but if one of them falls, the other one may not be capable of helping the other one back up. Or may not
be there.
True. One might be shopping or something.
Exactly. And so if both people have one, then no matter who or what happens, they're covered. And one of the things that we make sure to do is have them fill out the information sheet as to who should be called and in what order. And I tell you, a lot of people are afraid to get the buttons because they don't want the fire department pulling up every time they have a problem in front of their house.
Right.
And it could be as simple as, yes, I have fallen, I haven't broke anything, but I can't get myself up. Will you please call my daughter to come help get me up? You don't need the paramedics for that.
Well, let me ask you this. Does the person who's called first, just use me as an example. If I were called first and realized that it was, 11 o'clock at night, somebody's fallen, can I turn around and tell the company, okay, can you call 911 for me because I can't do this alone?
And I'm heading over there. Yeah.
And I'm heading over there. Okay, so there is some matter of family can say, hey, I'm going to need the extra help. Can you please send the emergency people?
Absolutely. But it's real important to fill out that information. And another thing that's really important is to put the information on the refrigerator that paramedics are going to need. I went through this multiple times when paramedics came to my mom and dad's house. They asked the barrage of questions, or what medical conditions do you have? Do you have a do not resuscitate? What medications are you on? All of those different questions. So put a document on your refrigerator that has that information on it, because if they come in there and you're unconscious, they're not going to know that you're on Coumadin.
And they're not going to riffle through your wallet to find it there.
No. So put it on the refrigerator. Another big thing is they're afraid, well, if I do fall and paramedics have to come, they're going to knock down my door. Put a key outside.
Isn't that dangerous, though?
There's a lot of really neat lock boxes you can get. You've seen them on homes that are up for sale.
Right.
They'll have a lock box with, the key inside, and the realtor knows the code to get to the key. Put it outside somewhere. It could be conspicuous, it could be non-conspicuous. But have that key out there, and then tell the company that has your emergency button where that key is located and the code to get in it. And when you push the button and they do call paramedics, they will tell paramedics where the key is located and how to get it so they can get into your house. Because you don't want them knocking down your door.
No, that's only in the movies.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the things a lot of people forget. They go ahead and get the button, but they don't think, well, if there's a problem, how are they going to get in to get me? Or if there's a problem and my neighbor has to come over, how do they get in to get me? So there are some really neat lock boxes. I've taken some to a number of clients' home for them because they couldn't get out to go get them. We've set them up, put them on rails, put them behind planters, hooked to posts or whatever. And we've set them up and put their little personal code in there and everything. And then we send that off to the call center. And when there's an emergency, that's how they have access into the house. Another
thing to think of, a lot of seniors have pets. So another thing to notify the company of is there is a dog in the house. Will not bite, but,
right.
Please know that there's a dog in the house or a cat in the house or a killer parrot or whatever.
Right. And these are the things when you're picking an agency or picking someone to do this for you that they should be talking to you about. They should say, okay, if someone does have to come here, where's your key outside? Do you have a key outside? Okay, if you don't have a key outside, well, what are we going to do to get them access? Are you going to go get a lockbox? If you are, call me and give me the code so I can let the agency know. Or if it's hidden in a can under the planter. Tell me where that is, because then we can let them know.
Yeah, because I know safety is a big concern for a lot of seniors. And so, it's just that old Depression era. You don't want to do that because somebody could find the key and let themselves in. So knowing that there are lock boxes is some measure of security there.
And there's some really neat ones out there, that are really very secure. You can put them on a chain link fence. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can put them out there that no one's going to just walk away with it. And that's important.
Right.
To make sure. So, again, that's a differentiation. If you order your unit from Walgreens and it comes out to you, are they going to talk to you about this?
I think the key is working with a company that is going to help you and interact with you. And I think a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable when that happens.
One of the things that I thought about was if you've got two women living in the same home, two sisters or whatever, and you've got their information on the refrigerator, how are the paramedics going to know who's who?
Oh.
So if you have a picture with the information, that will also help.
I never thought of that. Wow. Okay. So that's a good idea. And those are available anywhere. You can go to Costco or the post office and even just little passport photos.
Or the picture that your granddaughter took of you sitting there at your birthday or something, just a picture to show what you look like so that if they do happen to come, they know that it's you.
So they're not treating you for the other person's medications.
Exactly.
Kind of important.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've also got some really neat things out there now to monitor vital signs, which is really cool. This has just recently come out. They've got some equipment out there that will hook in through your telephone. You've got to have a hardwire phone for this, through your phone system, and it can detect your blood pressure. There's a weight scale, there's a oxygen meter for your pulse, and a glucose meter. And all you do is you do your tests, and it sends the information to a call center. And if you are outside of the parameters you're supposed to be, then there's instructions on there, if your blood pressure is, this high, you're supposed to immediately notify the doctor or whatever. Or if you don't do it.
Because if somebody's a severe diabetic and living alone, I've had friends go into diabetic comas, and if they weren't found, that's a deadly situation. And
so if they don't do that upon the scheduled time, within a certain period of time, the call center will call them and say, you haven't tested your blood, or you haven't tested your blood pressure, or whatever. And there's a lot of instances where people really need to keep on top of that, and someone needs to monitor what those numbers are.
And they forget.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I forget things. So, imagine if you're having to do this every day and it slips your mind.
So there's some really, really neat things happening. This is the kind of stuff 20, 30, 40 years ago you'd watch on a sci-fi movie, that you stick your finger in and it monitors all your stuff through some magical thing.
Or you needed a live-in nurse to do all this stuff for you.
You had to have a nurse, yeah, absolutely. So
it's nice that there's some degree of independence because of this technology.
We live in a great time. There are so many neat things coming up that can help people to stay independent. I love Skype, that you can sit and talk to your grandma every day to see if she's okay.
Right, and it's not that hard. If I can use it, anybody can use it.
And you can actually see what they look like. So when they're telling you they're fine, and you're looking at them going, no, you're not, it's a little bit different.
Right.
But the technology today is just fantastic. But we've still got issues with, seniors and safety, and a lot of people don't embrace the technology as quickly as others.
Well, for some, technology is very intimidating. There's a lot of seniors I know who are emailing their friends and keeping in touch that way. And then there's others I know who will not touch a computer because it's just too intimidating.
Or a cell phone.
Or a cell phone, exactly. They want the hard line or nothing.
Well, like my aunt, the black rotary dial phone that had been there since day one, and she wasn't about to get that button. But I'm telling you, I cannot stress enough. I got 2 more weeks with my mom because of an emergency button.
And she'd had a heart attack, right?
She'd had a massive heart attack. And if that hadn't been there, she probably wouldn't have made it to the phone. And someone would have found her, probably me, in the house. And I got to tell her things that I wanted to tell her.
That should be inspiration enough for families to want to have this. Now, when do you know when it's time to get a button?
I think about it getting one for me. I mean,
Really?
I have stairs in my house. I'm in my home alone a number of times. If I fall down the stairs, what am I going to do?
True. So how young is too young?
Anybody really could use this. It's just, how secure do you want to be in your house?
That's true. And we have these phobias that say, "Oh, I'm not that old. I shouldn't have to get one. I'm not that old."
I have a friend that I saw over the weekend, and she was telling me how she fell and broke her shoulder. And she turned to walk and tripped over an ottoman. Now, she's my age, and if her husband hadn't been there, she'd have been in tough shape right there.
Or if you live alone with just a dog or a few cats,
Oh, tripping over dogs is...
Or cats. Sorry, cats will trip you.
Totally normal.
Yes.
So really anybody needs one of these that lives by themselves or is at home by themselves a lot. Anybody really needs one. It just is, how secure do you want to be?
And what are the price range? Because I know there's a lot of concern for anybody nowadays, but seniors specifically, because we mentioned there's limited income involved, and some seniors are better off than others. But people think of these things as being cost prohibitive.
And they're not really. They range probably anywhere from $20, $30 on up to, I would say maybe $50, just depending on how sophisticated the unit is.
How many bells and whistles?
How many bells and whistles. If it's a hardwire one that goes to the phone and the wall versus a cellular one that has to have cell service, which is going to be a little more costly because of the cell service that has to be provided also.
But if you already have cell service,
it doesn't work that way. This one has its own
specific
cellular transmitter. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So it just depends on how sophisticated you need, or the fall sensor might be a little more because it's a different type of button, and it's going to send different signals. So it just depends.
Okay.
Actually. And if it's the vital signs monitoring, that's going to be something different because now you've got some elaborate equipment that's going to be there that's going to be sending information through a modem through your phone line.
Does insurance cover any of this?
Medicaid will pick up the basic emergency buttons. Medicare will not at this point.
Okay. Maybe help me out because I always get confused. What is the difference between those two? Medicare
is the health care that people pay into. Social Security and Medicare, people pay into that. And then when you reach age 65, it covers your medical needs.
Okay.
And that was something that was done
years ago.
And it's socialized medicine.
Okay.
To say, Medicaid is more for people that have financial issues, that cannot afford care, cannot afford medical. It's part of the health and welfare system.
Okay. And so which one will pay for it and which one won't?
Medicaid
will pay for it.
Will pay for it.
Okay.
But in order to qualify for Medicaid, you have certain income limitations. You cannot have much savings at all, really. And so there's some financial qualifications to get you qualified for Medicaid. And what happens is once you get qualified for Medicaid and then you start getting different services from them, when you die or when you stop receiving Medicaid, they will come back to your estate for reimbursement of those monies.
Okay. Question just popped into my mind. A lot of seniors I know are veterans going through the VA. Do you know if the VA helps cover any of these types of things?
No, the VA does not.
Okay, so that's good to know.
And that's a whole nother ball game when you start talking about all the different benefits that veterans get. But they do have some things that can cover this, but not specifically.
Okay.
Their aid and attendance pension will pay for care at home, and this probably could be part of what is in that package, but not specifically.
Okay.
And there's another whole gamut of this new technology, and that's medication dispensers.
Ooh.
There's automated medication dispensers out there.
I think that's maybe something to talk about, definitely, because I know a lot of seniors, they go through, some people go through a checklist, but I know a lot of seniors can't remember, did I already take my pills or didn't I?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That could be dangerous.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And if anyone listened to our show last weekend when we talked about elderly and suicide, one of the things is them withholding their medications and saving them up or not taking them. And, seniors and medications, that is a whole other ball game, because it's very dangerous for them to over-medicate or under-medicate. And it could be dangerous for them to not take it at the specific times they're supposed to.
Right.
And so there's some really neat machines out there that will help to make sure that they do. And if they don't, they get a phone call.
Wow.
Now, of course, they can take it out of the container and throw them away, but if the issue is they can't remember, then this will help them to remember. I want to talk some more on this because this is real important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break and then we'll return. Again, this is Connie Clark on the Senior Moment. And we're back. Hello, this is Connie Clark with Home Helpers, and we're on the Senior Moment. And Kay and I have been talking about some of the new technologies that are out to help seniors to stay independent, and not only seniors. I mean, anybody can use an emergency medical alert button.
Especially people with medical conditions that, if they're my age, if they're middle-aged or younger and living alone, but maybe they're severely diabetic or they have a heart problem or whatever.
Or if they're afraid of falling going up and down the stairs.
Yeah, they might have vertigo and just need help.
Exactly. And so there's a number of reasons why you would need one of these. And some of the technologies that are out right now are just so phenomenal, that can detect if you fall, that you can use if you don't have a hardwired phone, that will monitor your blood pressure and your glucose level and your oxygen level, and to notify someone if there is a problem. And one of the things we started talking about before the break is these new automated medication dispensers.
That sounds like a fabulous idea because I am really bad with pills. I'm not a senior. I don't have a lot of pills, but I'm lousy at pills.
Well, and there's a lot of pharmacies out there now that if you get your medications through them, they will put them in dispenser packs for you. That Monday morning you're supposed to take this and Monday night you're supposed to take that.
And then I find them Tuesday at the bottom of my purse, but
exactly.
That's beside the point.
But, they will do that for you. But if you get your medications through the VA or something like that, they will not. And so then it becomes the senior's responsibility to put them in the medication dispenser packages, that says Monday morning I'm going to take this, Monday night I'm going to take that. And I've seen a lot of families where the children will come in and sit down on Sunday afternoon and fill the medication dispensers for mom and dad, Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday night, this is what you're supposed to take.
And to be honest, a lot of those medical containers that you have, and I've got something very low-tech answer, they're not big enough to hold all the pills.
Well, they've got all different kinds. I've seen ones that have huge bins, and I've seen ones that are very small.
Well, I've seen at the office supply stores, they have these little plastic boxes. They're called really useful boxes. And the lids latch down, and you can label them Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday evening. I got a bunch of those for my sister who has Crohn's disease. And I labeled them with each day of the week because she's got, handfuls of pills with the Crohn's that she's got to take. And first she laughed, but I noticed when she came to visit me a few weeks ago, she's using it.
All right. So there's some low-tech things you can do.
Yes.
But if it becomes a problem in that, okay, you've gone over there, you've put them in the little dispenser packs, or you've had the pharmacy set them up for you in the little dispenser packs, but now they have to remember to take them.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. You can do everything you can to get those in the right places and set them on the table and put a big sign up and, everything else. But if they don't remember to take them, then what good does it do?
Yeah.
And so there's several different models that I have seen around town that are automated medication dispensers. Some of them, you put them all in a tray. Some of them have individual containers. They're all different kinds. And what you do is you put them all, just like you're doing with your day one morning, day two night, whatever. And then you set the time the alarm is supposed to go off.
So it's going to beep at them to tell them to take a pill.
It's going to beep at them. It's going to sit there and beep and beep and beep and beep and beep until they open the door or take out the little container or whatever. If they don't do either one of those things, it's going to go into a call center.
There's something to be said for annoying noises.
Absolutely. and it also has a flashing light. So if they're hard of hearing or whatever, it has a flashing light.
That's good.
On it. So then it's going to go into a call center. So now again, you're the list. What do? Do we call the person to tell them, remind them to take the pills? Do we call the daughter? Do we call the person in the facility that's at the front desk? Whatever. That, Kay forgot to take her medication this morning,
They'd have a full-time job with me. I'm so bad with it.
But it's one more thing. Now, of course, they can open the little door, or they can take out the little container and not take the medications. But now you're talking about a whole nother problem.
That's a willful thing, though.
Right.
That's not a memory thing.
Exactly. So, you can go the low-tech route where you're getting it from the pharmacy or you're putting them in the little containers. But if it becomes a memory issue that they just can't remember to take them, they have these automated medication dispensers now.
Or can't remember what one to take when. I think that's when you have like 20 different medications you're taking in a day, sometimes figuring out what you're supposed to take at what time can be incredibly difficult. So having a timer with that pill saying take it at this time, how helpful is that?
Exactly. And if, again, we have a lot of veterans here in the area, and if they're getting their medications through the VA will not put these in dispensers for them. They're going to send them a 90-day supply or whatever.
Yes, it's going to come in a regular pill bottle.
Exactly. So, someone's going to either have to sit and put them in all the day one, day two thing, or put them in a medication dispenser to help them remember what to take when. But again, the technology's out there. And if they don't open the little door or they don't take out the little container, it's going to be hooked through the phone line, and they're going to call the phone center. The call center is going to say, Kay didn't take her medication again. And then, try to call whoever's on the list, whatever order they say to call, to find out. And that's also a security thing, because if you're not taking your medication and you've done so every day and they've had not to call, and then all of a sudden on this day you don't take your medication, there might be something wrong.
Right.
And so, that's a call to the family. Kay didn't take her medication. I tried to call her. She's not answering. You may want to go over there and find out what's going on.
There's backups to backups to backups, and I think that's a good point of when it comes to our safety and our health, you can really never take have too many safeguards.
No. And especially when you're dealing with a senior who may have memory issues, has health issues, physical problems, mental issues, whatever, you're going to try to do whatever you can to make sure that that person is safe. That is the ultimate goal, is to make sure that that person is safe. And all of these things that we've talked about, we're trying to make sure that that person is safe. And if they can't be safe in their own home, then you're dealing with other issues, having to go to assisted living or something like that, where they will actually dispense the medications for them.
Right.
And when you're looking at a difference between an independent living facility and an assisted living facility, that's usually the line in the sand. If the person cannot manage their medications, they have to go to assisted.
And that's, a lot of people just don't want to go to assisted living because for them that means a loss of independence.
And a lot more money.
Right.
There's a big cost difference between those two different types of living arrangements. In the assisted living, they have someone that's medication certified that will come around with the cart, when it's time, and say, here's your medications that you're supposed to be taking, and we'll make sure that person takes them. But again, that's the line in the sand that's drawn, that if you cannot manage your medications, you can't be an independent anymore.
Right.
So, if someone's in an independent living facility and is having trouble managing their medications, this might be an alternative to get a automated medication dispenser in their apartment that will at least help them get through that piece. And then if it comes to the point where they're still not taking them and there's issues, okay. But that's like a stopgap. If there's no other issues, that could keep them on the independent side.
You do everything you can to stay independent as long as you can. And it seems like now, more than ever, we've got so much at our fingertips to really help us stay as independent and free as long as possible. So that's a real blessing that we're living in this day and age.
And these are all the different kind of medical alert services out there. But if you go into some place like Soper's or some durable medical equipment supply place, you'd be amazed at what you're going to find in there.
Well, I guess maybe the next question is, where do you find all this stuff?
You mean the ones we've been talking about?
Yeah, we've been talking about Medical Alert, the pill dispensers, and it sounds great, but where does a senior even start to do their research?
A lot of the different agencies around here provide them. We provide them. I know a couple of the other home care providers have them. I know there is a system through the hospital that has them. So we are very fortunate in that there's a lot of options in our area for someone. It's not just one provider monopolizing the whole thing. There are several people here that provide it. And so you have options. You can shop around. You can look and see the equipment. Like I said, the one that has the little door, the medication dispenser with a little door versus the ones that have the containers, those two pieces of equipment look totally different.
Oh.
And so someone might look at one and go, oh, that looks a lot less complicated than this other one that I have to deal with, So it just depends on your preference.
At least there's that choice out there.
The choice is there, absolutely. Like I said, we're very fortunate in that we do have options around here.
Well, we're running down to our last 5 minutes, and before we go, you had talked to me. You wanted to talk about identification bracelets.
You hear all the time about a missing senior, someone who's wandered away from home, someone who's wandered away from a facility. And sometimes they end in good stories and sometimes tragedy. And so it is real important, if you have someone with memory issues, that they wear identification on them. And through the Alzheimer's Association, they also have a medical alert system where it's a pendant, a necklace, an anklet that has a number on it with a toll-free number. And so if someone wanders into your store or wanders up to your door and they're totally lost and they have one of these on, you can call this toll-free number, give them this number that's on the bracelet, and that will identify who that person is, and they will contact the family to let them know where that person's at.
Brilliant. I know they used to have them for kids, for us as kids, but it makes sense on seniors, especially with memory issues.
And it also says that this person has memory issues. So no matter if it's a tragic way they find the person or if they find the person just wandering, at least it's an identification as to how to contact the family.
Right. So where do you get those?
You can go through the Alzheimer's Association, alz.org, and under the safety tab and find information out about that. I also wanted to talk about some things as we're talking about the Alzheimer's Association. Speaking of which, jumped right into that. On September 22nd, the Walk to End Alzheimer's is going to be happening here locally. And so a lot of the different facilities and agencies and businesses have teams that are going to be walking the walk. And one of those teams is Four Seasons. And I had Jason Ball here with me a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And we were talking about Four Seasons. Well, Four Seasons is one of the ones that has a walking team, and they're doing some fundraising. And one of the things they're going to be doing is on September 13th, they're going to have Art for the Ages, and it's going to be at Four Seasons, which is at the corner of 4th and Dalton, right across from Coeur d'Alene High. And what they're going to have is works of art on display for sale along with jewelry, and all of the proceeds are going to benefit the Alzheimer's Association and their local artists. And so they're going to have things up, for sale there, and they're going to have food.
Always good.
Oh, food is always good. They're going to have wine and cheese and hors d'oeuvres and stuff. It just sounds like a real fun event.
And what day is that?
It's going to be September 13th from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. And they're going to have all kinds of different art and things on display for sale, and the proceeds go to the Alzheimer's Association. So I really think that's a fun thing. And you're going to start seeing around town a lot of different places have different fundraising events. I know I remember a hot dog sale. One of the facilities had a hot dog sale, and stuff like that. So they're really working hard to raise money. And I've done the walk the past few years, and it's really fun. The teams dress up in these goofy outfits, and they get prizes for the best dressed team and stuff. And some of these people really look crazy.
All for a good cause.
All
though.
for a good cause. It is a blast. It really is. And if you want to have a team to walk, you can call the Alzheimer's Association. Again, the walk is September 22nd, and the Alzheimer's Association is 666-2996. And let them know you want to have a team, and they'll make sure you get all the information.
That sounds like so much fun.
Oh, it is. It's a ball. It is an absolute ball, especially all the people dressing up.
That always makes it great.
Any reason to be crazy. But I thank you for being on with me this afternoon and talking about this.
My pleasure. I'm always glad to learn.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the technology today is here to help people stay independent. So again, this is Connie Clark with Home Helpers, and you've been listening to the Senior Moment. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend.